Сейчас, одну секунду открою. Ща. Okay, hello everyone. We're starting our stream. So today, once again, we have Fatality and Pinkamena playing this tournament.
Послушай, а ты уже видел последние
One
товары
second.
тренды, на которых можно зарабатывать в интернете?
Что такое? Okay, so we're about to start. As we can see, our players are ready as well. Very excited about the following tournament. So the younger the player is, the more excited she is. It's always like that. So we can see that Fatality is concentrated, and as we know, concentration is the most important thing in chess, actually. You have to be full focused, especially when it's a blitz game. And so we're getting started. So let's start with the Fatality game. c4, c5, the English opening. Knight f3, knight c6, b3, e5. So yeah, black chose to fight for the control of the dark squares. That's a viable strategy. So yeah, that's a usual pieces placement. So one knight stays on c6, the other on e7. So if we win the control of the d4 square, the c6 knight goes to d4, and then the knight from e7 goes to c6 to support it. So it's very fast. Black already managed to make the f5, f4 idea work. And as we can see, that d4 square is ours now. And also the d3 pawn may be weakened at some point. We have the f file. White squared bishop have some problems to find safe haven and to be like useful. I think queen f8 is a little bit slow. I would prefer knight d4 to prevent the bishop f3 move. But now white actually managed to like break through, play bishop f3. Maybe it's still fine because oh, very strange. I thought that knight d5 would be met by knight takes f3 check, but black preferred to leave white with the white squared bishop, not with the knight. I doubt the decision, to be honest. Because now white's worst piece, actually, that d5 bishop is now the best one. Can be exchanged though by bishop b7. I think that's the plan, but what we have after this, we have dark squares bishop and all pawns on the dark squares. It's not usually good. The knight on e4 actually is very strong and can be forced away because whenever black plays d5, white will just play c takes d5, and so maybe black may have considered exchanging white's knight, not bishop, but now we have much more serious problems that d6 pawn is about to fall, and yeah, that's what happens. Queen takes d6. I adopt the queen takes d6 move because this actually gives black some counter chances. I also don't like bishop takes d5 move. I would play queen takes d6 first, then take on d5, c takes d5, and rook d8. And actually, I think black will have some compensation counterplay. Once again, very strange decision. Now I'll play queen takes d5 instead of this. For some reason, white really wants to have its pawn from c4 go to d5. And maybe that's why rook c7 is played. Rook takes d5 can be played now because of knight f6 check. Also, the a7 pawn was attacked, and rook on the 7th rank is always danger. Now the other rook goes to c1, so white is trying to go for some, you see, active play. So white doesn't want to just keep this advantage and slowly try to convert the e4 knight advantage against the bishop. So white tries to play a little bit faster and get the victory right here, right now. In fact, in the game, this decision appears to be more than fine. The only reason why white is not playing rook a7 is that black will play rook c8 and at least fight back a little. Now d7 is played. d7 is a very it's like this move requires a lot of like counting, because if it doesn't work, it may give up all the advantage. For example, I'm not sure if rook takes d7 wasn't actually winning a pawn instead of b5. So that's why d7 move is it's not a move that you'd like to make in a blitz game, because why would you risk your entire advantage? Because black didn't even have some viable plan, and now at least we have some fight going on. Well, but finally it all ends, and white will have an extra minor piece. Still not a straight victory. We'll have to work a little bit. So d8, now the exchange will happen. Black will go rook c6. No, king g6 first. King g6 actually is not a good move because of rook d6 check, and it all ends. So rook c6 was better, at least some like counterplay compensation. Now it's over instead. Black is not resigning yet. It's because it's a 3 plus nil control. So black is trying to play for time, but white's time is fine actually. 16 seconds more than enough, and black have 3 seconds on the other hand. Well, there is always hope. For some random stalemate. You see, black doesn't take the knight because it like increases the stalemate chance a little bit. So in the Pinkamena game, we have an end game. Material it became equal right now. Now black has an extra pawn, and this is looking very good. Yeah, bishop e4, and we can play d5. No, we couldn't. I thought d5, bishop takes d5, rook d8, but there will be a bishop takes f7 move. Instead, black gives up a pawn, but the bishop is kind of trapped on b7. That's a very interesting decision. So we can just go king f8, e7, d6, c7, and try to capture the bishop. But rook d7 is played instead. This is not a good idea, I think. Black's position is still fine, and bishop g4 might be a mistake. Yeah, because of rook c4. And I'm not sure if pawn can be stopped. It could be stopped actually if white played king f1, but instead white loses momentum, and now black has an extra minor piece. This may be an easy realization. Well, not now. Black somehow wasted a lot of time, and now white is winning. Wow. But this will be if we've had like a serious game, but we're playing blitz, and that's why black made all those moves, because white now forfeits on time, and you know, the evaluation of the position just doesn't matter. So we go back to the fatality game. We have a berserk here. The material is equal. White's position is very fine because The bishop on b7 is kind of trapped. That's the usual, not trapped, it's just blocked. It's a usual problem in the Benoni structures, and we have one in this game. Also, the c4 square is very powerful. So you see, usually the pawn like this, like c4 pawns, defended pawn. It's it's very good, but not in this exact position because white has strong control on the c4 square. Well, now some exchanges happened, and white converts his advantage here by playing like f3 and taking the d4 pawn. So you see, we had some positional advantage. Now we have a material one. So that's how chess works. Now we just have to consolidate, and yeah, king f2 is a mistake. White should have played bishop e2, I think, something like this. Rook b4 is a mistake as well. Bishop takes b5 was winning, and now it's not. Actually, because of this move, black may lose this game because now white has advantage. If white managed to win the d6 pawn, which will actually happen, I'm not sure why white is not playing rook c6. This was like straight winning the game. King f8 can be met by a rook c8 check. It's not played though. Rook b4 is played. E8. White still had a victorious endgame by playing rook b8 check instead of king d5. Now white loses, and rook b2 is. Oh, what? What just happened? Black had like minute and 15 seconds and blundered a rook, didn't take the rook after the blunder, and the rook was just like just next to in the like what? Well, that happens sometimes, and that's why you're not just like playing very fast, like you're like an Usain Bolt, and you just spend some time thinking instead of this. Yeah, that was very fortunate. So back in Pinkamena game, we have a queen's end game. It looks like a draw, really. I think that perpetual check will eventually be found when black decides that it's not worth it. Well, queen d1 is a dangerous move because now white may actually think, oh wow, once again black pre-moves queen g3 and expects the king h2 move, but queen g1 is played instead, and now white has an extra queen. And after this exchange, yeah, with 1 minute, I think we all know. Yeah, and black knows as well, resigns. So let's go back to fatality game. We have like, you see, we have something like Dutch defense. The structure is like this. Of course, it was not a Dutch defense from the start. It was like queen's pawn opening. Just some random variation with white not trying to have some advantages, playing like building houses like d4, e3, c3. So now position is much more complicated than it was a couple of moves ago. Black should be fine. The knight on e4 looks a little bit lost, but it always has the g5 square if white decides to try and capture it by playing f3. This exchange, like, I'm not sure about it because now I definitely prefer black's position. Because knight on e2 is just absolutely lost, and bishop on b2 is just watching the e5 pawn and doing nothing. You see, white can never play something like f3 because this will just absolutely destroy all the defense on the king side, and the bishop on b7 will just wreck the white's position. But in the opposite side, black could have played like g5, f4, and do all this. But black preferred to try to find something in the end game. Once again, this is a blitz game. Of course, in classical game, uh, I'm sure that this is a bad decision, but especially I think it's a bad decision now as well because black was playing berserk and had to find something fast. And now after the exchange of dark squared bishop, the position is lost. I'm not sure why white didn't play king c4. This was just straight winning the game. For some reason, white decided otherwise. Now maybe even black has some advantage. Exchanging the dark squared bishops was a huge mistake for black because when you have a two bishops advantage, you have no reason to exchange like this. Give it up. But white is playing like very weak chess, and it's gonna cost him because now with the c4 pawn, I think this is quite an easy victory. And after king d5, d2 move, this is once again a very strange mistake. So white should have played something like knight a2. And black should have played something like king d4 instead of going to b4. So as we see, a lot of mistakes in endgames. You see, it's quite a usual thing when you have when you watch young players games. Well, I think black actually still have a winning plan. Something like bishop d3, king c2, king d2. Maybe it's not as safe because when we go for this, we risk even losing after something like I don't know knight e4, knight g5, counterattacking the e6 and c4 pawns. So black decides not to risk it and draw the game. Now let's watch a Pinkamena game. The material is equal. Oh no, black has. Oh, black is an exchange down. Yeah, of course, white has a winning position, and black blunders the rook. Yeah, yeah, this is it. So let's go back. Sorry, Pinkamena, I really want to watch some of your games, but it's not working. So, oh, black in Fatality game, black blunders a minor piece. Now white still can play h5, yeah. And black blundered minor piece for 2 pawns. Of course, it's not good because the position is relatively safe. So it's going to be an easy victory for white. Now bishop h3 can play it, for example. Yeah, knight e5 is fine. We just don't even care on the pawn structure at this point. Bishop f7 is once again a blunder because of knight takes d6. White is counting. For some reason decides not to play this move. I'm not sure why. Maybe didn't see. Yeah, knight goes to c4, so it might be easy. Bishop f7, queen f7, bishop h3, check, rook g2, bishop goes to e6. Yeah, now. So when we exchange queens, the game is officially over. And we may not even need this because the attack is about to successfully end after rook takes h7 check, queen g6 check, and rook h2. White managed to find even a more funny way to end the game. So back to Pinkamena game. Let's try to watch one game without some straight blunders right after I turn on this game. And it's not going successful because g takes f3 should have been played. Instead, white blunders a pawn. Even 2 pawns, maybe. Queen takes e4 can be played. Of course, in this case, white will have a compensation because of the weakened king side. But I think queen takes e4 is still fine, yeah. Of course, bishop takes f6 must be played, yeah. Now maybe rook e1. No, queen h5. Queen g6 will be played, I think. No, king h7. Rook a to e1 is fine. And then rook e7. Some compensation at least. No, maybe not even rook e7, rook c1, maybe. No, c3 is played. No, this is just a waste of time. So we'll have to try to find some fast compensation. Now black will have time to consolidate. Black would still have it even if we played like the correct moves. But now it's going to be very easy. Rook d4 maybe, yeah. Rook d4, rook g8. Rook f4 maybe is fine. It's like if black blunders and plays king g7, we'll play rook g4 and win the game. So at least we found some counterplay. Oh, king g7 is played. Wow. Rook g4 just wins. Yeah, that's it. Actually, it was very difficult for black, so I'm not even sure what move had to be made. Something like maybe rook g7, rook takes f6, and then queen e4, maybe something like this. So somehow white managed to find some counterplay, and black used the first opportunity to blunder something. Despite having actually a nice rating. Now rook e1 will be played, or yeah, queen f5 check. Well, I believe that we'll not have some issues in this game. It looks very easy. So let's go back to Fatality game. Her game are a little bit more competitive. So knight takes b5, queen takes b5. So what we have here? We have like material advantage once again. A weak c5 pawn for black and weak b2 pawn for white. Black's bishop is worse in case of like endgame that will happen soon. But like in the momentum, white's bishop was misplaced on g3. Black didn't manage to use this fact. Maybe didn't have an opportunity exactly. So yeah, king f7. Now white has an extra pawn, and with this bishop on f8, I think it's not going to be very difficult. e6 is ambitious, but I think that bishop takes f8 is winning now. For example, rook takes c2. No, d takes e6 check is played. Bishop takes f8. Oh, white is going for a checkmate. This is actually better, I think. Rook c7 check is strange. I think that king f6 might work, yes. h4, oh, checkmate is on the cards. Rook c6, checkmate. Black at least can play rook b6 and it will be fine. Rook e8 also can be played, yeah. Rook e8 is even better because now we have a threat to take the b4 pawn. Rook c4 is played, g5. Oh, I don't like the g5 move because of h5 and rook h7. I think it's a misplay. Now rook e7 I think has to be played. It's not even working because of the exchange and rook c6 then. I think this endgame might be lost. Yeah, g4 is a must play move, so I really like it. So black realized the mistake and tries to find some counterplay. King on h4 is actually a very strong piece if it's not checkmated like it will now. Rook c3, yeah, that's very unfortunate. I think that g4 was actually a nice idea, but didn't work. So yeah, unlucky. Oh, we have some theory going on in the Pinkamena game. For some reason, black didn't play king e6 instead of king e8 in the opening. Maybe didn't know. Of course, this position is a victory for white. Not a very easy one, maybe. Only one extra pawn. But still, must be enough. Black lost the possibility of castling. Goes king already moved twice. Yeah, black will struggle here. So maybe let's watch the fatality game. Fatality is actually... I thought that she has a nice placing with 17th place. Maybe after winning this game, we'll just gain a lot of ranking. Because I think that a lot of players have this amount of points, or maybe a half point more. Oh wow, what happened? Did black just blunder the bishop on b7? Oh, we just can see the rating, so it's very low. That's why this blunder happened. So yeah, this is just unfair. Fatality is too strong for this opponent. Oh, we lost signal in the fatality stream. Lucky enough that fatality at least has no internet issues, and so we'll manage to end this game with a victory. Actually, it's a berserk win, so that's very good in terms of points. 47 seconds, I think. Yeah, this is just nothing to watch here. So back to Pinkamena game. Now white has already 2 extra pawns and also a very strong attack. So rook 81 now will be played. No, c3 for some reason. Queen c5 maybe, and find some chances in the endgame. No, queen g4. We're not exchanging queens, we're just fighting. But I don't see what will black do after rook d1. No, bishop d2 is played. I feel like I understand like nothing in chess. I can guess a single move. f4 is played. Rook takes e5 is a threat. That's very interesting. Yeah, rook takes e5 will be played now, for sure. What is white even thinking in this position? What's the choice here? So we have the only move, rook takes e5. No, queen c4 check. I can't understand this. Why would we play f4 then? So what would we do if black, for example, played rook takes b2? So were we planning just to play f takes e5 or what? Very weird. Actually, f4 opened white's position a little bit, and p3 is a waste of a very valuable time. Black is like white was like threatening maybe f takes e5 an endgame, but I'm not even sure if that endgame was this easy. No, queen takes a7. F takes e5. Oh, I don't think we really needed to take the e5 pawn, because now the bishop on e5 is not having a good time. It's like deadly pinned. Oh, but at least we have some checkmate threats. Oh, and white actually blundered the checkmate. What just happened? It's chess, guys. It's chess. Well, so let's go back to a fatality game. We'll restore some normality in moves. Fatality is 13th place, and she plays against the guy in the 3rd place. So we have, maybe it was a Slav exchange. No, I didn't guess it right. Rook b8. So white has a 2 bishops advantage, and also the rook on c7. You see some initiative. If black consolidate, the position will be fine. It may not be this easy though, because queen e8 will be met by something like bishop b5. Maybe not exactly. Bishop b5 maybe not straight working because of a6. Yeah, so queen. That's why queen e8 is played. But at least there is a threat of bishop b5. Bishop d4 is played. Now black can consider maybe a knight b6, because a6 I think may possibly be met with bishop a7. Oh no, this is not actually dangerous because the e5 pawn will be hanging. So rook c8, bishop b5. Rook c8 was a mistake for sure. Yeah, this was a difficult position, so I will not blame black for this, because it's a blitz game once again. Oh wow, that's strong. So black, white didn't take the a6 pawn. Oh, and bishop b6 just ends it. Yeah, bishop takes d8, and an extra rook is more than enough, so that's why black resigns. So back to Pinkamena game. Knight d6 is a like triple attack. Oh, and knight e4. Wow, what a move. Not working though because of knight takes c4. Yeah. Knight takes c4, knight takes d2, the exchange. And yeah, with an extra minor piece, I think we'll find a way to win it. Oh, actually, now black has two pawns for the knight. And it's an endgame, so the chances increased. Rook c4 is played. Oh, rook c4 is a mistake, because now we can exchange and play rook c1. And it's done. Rook c1. Yeah, that's it. And after this, the a6 pawn is screwed, for sure. Knight b3, knight c5. Oh no, knight c5 is not played. This is a misplay, I think. But still, white still has to be winning, and it's not... I think it's not going to be very difficult. Knight e5, I'll not recommend this kind of move, because I think knight was placed quite fine. King c5, knight b7, no. A knight just tried to go around the world and attack the g5 pawn. This may work actually. So white's plan to win is just to create some weak spots, and with two pieces against the single king, it will be easy to win the fight for these spots. So for example, to force black to play e4 and then win the control on the d4 square, place the king on d4, it will be over. No, king b4 is surely not good. Why would you even... Was the plan really to take the a2 pawn? Of course, this is not working. And yeah, now black loses for sure. The e5 pawn is falling after f4, so we will just take on f4. Oh, g4 is played. At least some chances, but after this exchange and knight f7, it's over, I think. Yeah, e4, king d4, and the g3 pawn wins the game. So knight e5, knight takes g4, and white will not even waste time to eat these pawns. No, white will, but I think white shouldn't do that. Still won after knight e3 and knight c2. Yeah, king c4. I was hoping white will play king c4. This will be fun. Still wins the game. So Oh, Pinkamena actually has a nice ranking. And after this game, it will become even higher. Fatality third place. Not taking a berserk after a strong rated opponent. My accent is so bad, guys, sorry. Just don't have enough practice, maybe. I'll try to work on it. I read your comments on YouTube and thanks for your support, but I'll try to improve my English for sure. So bishop e6. Now I think we can play knight takes f6 check, then I thought knight d4, but knight d4 maybe is not so good because of rook d8, c3, bishop b6, I don't know. So yeah, we exchanged, and what's the move? Maybe bishop takes e6, and then knight d4. Yeah, I think... No, knight d4 is not working because of knight takes d4, and queen takes d4 will be met by bishop b6, and bishop takes d4 runs into rook d8. Oh wow, black decided to take with the f pawn to ruin the pawn structure, but like to have the f file. I actually don't think it's worth it. I would prefer queen takes c6. Rook d8, maybe... Oh, I'm sorry, 1 sec. So what we have here? We have, once again, we have some technical problems on the fatality stream. I hope it will be solved soon. So rook d3 is played. So black has some initiative, but a pretty much ruined pawn structure. Knight d4 is played. Oh, now black has an opportunity to play rook d2, but I don't think that rook d2 is good because of rook a d1. Will white manage to find this move? This is good actually. Queen goes to b3 instead. Rook b2 is played, queen g3, and queen takes c4. Well, I think white really should have played rook a d1. Go for some tactics. Also, the initiative, the initiative play worked for black. So we see the dividends here. e3 is played. Queen now can go to e4, and this is a very powerful position. Black even didn't take the f4 pawn, and might be his undoing, because now white had some compensation. If white managed to find rook takes f7 and queen takes h7 check, it will be at least a draw. Oh, now the attack is on. Queen g5 was a checkmate. Rook takes h7 wins the game. Wow. What a turnaround. With 5 seconds left. King g7 was a huge mistake. Rook b1 should have been played for black. And it was a draw. Maybe even some winning chances for black. No, I don't think so. I think it was a draw. And now black lost. And this is a very impressive win on a huge rated opponent. And in terms of ranking, this is very good for fatality. So we have Pinkamena game. White is attacking, and once again, we didn't find a good moment to turn on Pinkamena's game, because she's about to be checkmated after rook h3. So let's go back, maybe. Yeah, fatality keeps losing signal, but I think it will be fine. So let's go.
Вот он,
We're back
сейчас
online.
мы
E4,
полностью
C6.
выбрали.
Yeah, this is a
Можно
Caro-Kann
остановиться на
defense.
этом.
E5 is an ambitious variation.
А ты
So
сейчас какая стартовая?
we are going for some
Ой,
advantage
на каком
in the opening. I'm not sure if we are still going for some advantage after this kind of moves, like knight f3, bishop e2. I don't know theories as well, to be honest, in this variation. When I used to play e4, after e5, bishop f5, I used to play knight g4, bishop g6, and knight g1 to e2. But this was many years ago. I'm not sure if this actually is still fine. Oh, and knight d4 is now being played. Bishop will take on b1, I think. It's kind of forced because black doesn't want to ruin pawn structures this much this early in the game. So you see, in the long term, black's pawn structure is a little bit better. But in the short term, white has an idea of playing f4, f5, and this attack may really be dangerous. But white has to play it fast because black will have a counterplay on the b file, and also c5 will be played soon. In this exact moment, c5 is not good because of knight b5, and knight will go to d6. So yeah, f4 is played. At this point, f4 is a defensive move because we are just don't want to lose the a5 pawn, but we have some ambitious attacking plans. Yeah, rook e1 is played. On the other hand, black played a6, so now we don't have the knight b5, knight b6 resource. So knight goes back to c2. I don't like this decision. I'll move the knight to f3, g5 maybe instead, because we are attacking. So, but you see, after g6 move, knight c2 actually makes sense because we have the maneuver knight e3, knight g4, and somewhere to f6 maybe. Maybe we'll do it in the future. Now white plays g4. I like this move. Maybe even f5 could have been counted. But yeah, g4 is much more safe, and we don't need to count it. It's perfectly fine. King goes to h8. White may consider king h1, I think. Or maybe rook f3 to g3 is fun. Is fine, I mean. Actually, you see, the a6 pawn is being attacked by the queen, so black will have to lose one more tempo if he decides to move the a8 rook to the king side. h4 is played, wow. White is playing very aggressive and I like it. I think that white didn't like the king h1 move because the h1 a8 diagonal is vulnerable, and on h2 king will be safe. So yeah, now we play king queen h2. I think then we'll play queen g3 and maybe... Oh no, we just play f5, and so why would we even waste some time? This is actually looking fine, maybe. Rook g1 can be... No, can't be played because of queen takes f5, but maybe we can fight something like knight e3, for example. Knight e3 was being met by queen e4 check. That's why this move is not made. White exchanged queens, and this slows down the attack a little bit. But white still has some initiative, I would say. Rook g8, f6 is played. f6 is very ambitious. If white managed to keep this pawn structure and not lose some pawns after knight f8, for example, knight g6, black's king might be in danger, and the f7 pawn might fall. And you see, when you have this kind of yeah, like aggressive pawn structure in endgame, sometimes you may have some checkmate ideas, for example. Rook e2 is played now, and black has an opportunity to play knight takes e5, yeah. White should still be fine because of this like aggressive ideas. Rook g5 is played. Rook h5 can be played now, so it's at least a draw. And king e8 will lose after king d6. This will be very funny, but it will not happen. Black sees this and doesn't fall into this trap, and the game is drawn. Fatality still has no
Как я
signal.
умею читать, я
Set.
совсем чуть-чуть умею читать на английском.
Back to Pinkamena game. Black has an extra pawn and an extra minor piece. This is a huge material advantage. And rook c4 also can be played. This would force a queen's exchange. Instead, a5 is played, and black still can force the queen's exchange by playing like queen f5, for example. But as we know, young players never exchange queens or just any other pieces, so you see that's why queen a6 is played. Bishop e1. I don't think that it's actually gonna cost black in this game, because this is just too much of a material advantage, so I can see what may go wrong here. White takes its b6 pawn, black plays queen d1. Wow. So we can exchange. Black is actually not exchanging. Black is going for some tactics. Because now if white takes the d1 queen, we'll play rook takes d1, and after king f1, bishop c3 is winning the game. Second minor piece. That's why white decided to play king f1. But now black exchanged queens, and if the a5 pawn is not falling, and I think it shouldn't fall, black will have a very easy victory. But a5 pawn is falling actually. And black actually has a lot of problems now, because after bishop takes a5, rook takes a3 is a blunder because of rook b8 check, knight f8, and bishop b4. But white went for a wrong move order and missed this opportunity. And now we'll lose the game after knight e4 check, for example. Or maybe king h7 can be played. Knight e4 is played, yeah. Knight takes f2 now. Oh no. For some reason we play knight g5. And rook b2. Of course it's winning as well. Bishop c5 can be played because of knight e4. White has a knight a5, a bishop a5 move, but we can once again play knight e4 check after this. Will not win a pawn, but still be fine. f3 is played. I think now maybe yeah, bishop e5 and bishop c7 can be played. No, rook b3 check. Bishop takes f4, yeah. The king is about to be checkmated, I think, after like rook b1, rook h1. g3, bishop takes g3. Oh, wow. Black is risking so much. Why would you do that? I actually think that white may be even winning now. Wow, what a turnaround. And rook e7 just checkmates now. No, rook h7 is played. And white forfeits on time, having a victorious position. So rook g7 check and rook e7 was just winning. Wow. Well, you see, it ended well, so once again, we will not be like too strict. In the fatality game, we have an extra rook. Once again, there's even nothing to watch. So maybe I'll have some time to read what you are writing on the stream. Maybe give you some answers. Guys, don't complain for the no signal on the fatality screen. We know we have the issues. We're trying to solve them. And in this exact moment, fatality found a very funny checkmate. Rook g2. Bam, that's it. Pinkamena actually has a better ranking now, so maybe let's concentrate on her game. a6 is played, b5. Knight c6. Well, that's quite a typical position. Knight e1 is a blunder. Yeah, bishop
А
e2
потом
can be
возьму
played.
берсерк.
This
Когда
move was
уже
found,
буду
and after the
играть
exchange,
слабнет.
black, I think, should play knight g4. Oh, a5 is played, and now knight g4 can be played. Now knight g4. We still have to play knight g4. No, we didn't. D4 is played. Yeah, the exchange. Maybe knight b4 now. Yeah, that's it. Knight b4. Bishop b1. Maybe a3 now. Because if we don't play a3, white will move his pawn to a3. So let's go. a3. No, rook b8 is played. a3. Knight c6 or knight a6. Bishop d3. c6. So you see white, black is not forcing the issue. It's perfectly fine. After the e5 move, white has some initiative, but now there is a d5 square for black's knights. Knight on a6 can rotate through the c7 square. Knight e4 is an opportunity to exchange some pieces. Now we can play c5 maybe. No, chose the rook c8. Bishop f3 and now now c5 is already not such an easy decision because of bishop b7 or even queen takes b5. Knight d3, queen f5. Queen goes to d1 and bishop g4 is a threat. So let's just not blunder it. Yeah, so queen g6 is played. Oh, and we actually blundered it. Yeah. So white wins the exchange back. Now can play queen b1, I think was a little bit better than this. I'm not like absolutely sure, but rook c1 is played and now yeah, we have a weak c6 pawn. Well, knight c5 is not ambitious. Oh, actually, for some reason, white decided to go for
Ты должна
a little bit worse
мне
position. So
просто.
black has
Мне
little
плохо
advantage.
именно по
And
времени.
before the knight c5 move, white had a little bit of an advantage. So gave it up.
Сейчас просто сделаем так, чтобы это
Now black's bishop is much better.
не
So we can just
связано
play
с
king e6. Then after the exchange, our king will be placed on d5. And this will be a very good position because the c5 pawn could fall. Maybe we even had to play rook takes d3, king takes d3, king e6, and we had the f5 check move after king e4. Now at least white is not straight losing a pawn. Now b3 is played. King takes on b3 and white is planning to play a4. But it will not happen because of bishop f6 and rook d3 check. So a good job from black. King goes back to a2, so white decides not to risk it and not playing king b4. Bishop goes to e7. I think that was not necessary. I think king d5 maybe was better. King b2. We have a chance to go back. No, play king d5. h3. Now g5 maybe can be played. g5, f4, something like this. Instead, rook goes to d1. Oh, and bishop f6 check is a huge threat now. Well, not a huge threat. King b1, rook b1 check, rook goes back, I think. No, rook a1 check instead.
Вот.
b1,
Я
rook
сделала
d1, I
сейчас
think.
ничего, потому что
No,
мне по
black
времени
decides to draw
сложно. Ну,
because of
меня
the
всё
time.
равно привыкли.
So fair enough. 21 seconds may not be enough. So let's go back to fatality game. Fatality game ends right when we... Oh, and that's very unfortunate because actually black had a checkmate in like 3 moves or something like this. Seems like fatality is not as good and it's 3 plus nil control as she is, and 3 plus
Ой, с
2.
тобой?
Oh, we have a derby here. Fatality against Pinkamena, so it's a very fun game. Rankings are relatively close, so
Спасибо, ты
we have a
Берсерк
Sicilian
сделала.
opening
Очень.
night before. So write in the chat who you are rooting for in this game. Which is your favorite player between these two? Oh, for some reason black takes the c3 knight. That's very ambitious because now white has a 2 bishops advantage.
Это уже нормально.
Maybe I just don't know the meta of this variation. So I'm sorry if I say something stupid. If you are a specialist in the Sicilian
Нормально.
defense, so just write if I'm mistaken. Queen goes to b4. Now knight c5 can be played. Black takes on c5, and this is a very grim position now. Yeah, I think this was a huge mistake. We didn't have a right to do that. Now black has an extra pawn. And also the e2 bishop is like dominated. Knight goes to g5, bishop g6, knight goes back. Knight e4 can be played. No, instead we choose knight d5. So knight decides to go to f4. Queen a3. And a queen is really playing with fire here. Because b4 almost traps the queen. So maybe we can consider queen b6, for example. With some future ideas of playing like b4.
Лиза, такая
Queen
малюсенькая
c6
проблема.
is played instead. This may even be stronger because
То, что она
now
взяла
we leave
приставку, у меня 30
the
секунд.
a5 square undefended. We control the a4 square. Of course, white plays c3 because just it prevents the b4 threat, and also bishop takes c2 was on the cards. Black is really trying hard to trap the queen. Maybe thinking about something like b4. No, queen b6 instead. So black decides that, well, you know, I have 25 seconds, so don't have time to count all these variations. We'll just try to go for an endgame victory with an extra pawn. But with 22 seconds left, is this going to be enough? Rook d8 is played, and c4 wins a minor piece. No, not a minor piece, wins an exchange for a pawn. Knight c3 could have been played, and after the exchange, black could have played knight takes e2 check and bishop takes c4. Still has this chance. Not used to place e3, and it's desperation because it's not working. And black has 14 seconds left and a minor piece down. 2 minor pieces now because now... Oh no, I thought that maybe some ideas like bishop c4 was working, but no, it's not the case. But white managed to eat the a6 pawn in process, and that's very huge because now just no compensation, and with 10 seconds left, there is no hope for black. So the young Pinkamena managed to like take down the older sister. That's impressive. 2 seconds, yeah. No hope at this point. Knight takes h6. White even gives up the bishop and goes for some BM. Wow. That's rude. That's rude. Well, of course, I'm joking. Like, sisters are having fun. So So we are watching the Fatality game now. Fatality is 7th place, tries to win some rankings back. So in this kind of pawn structure, white usually has an idea of playing e4, and if it happens, it just really ruins black's day and ruins the structure. But it happens only if we take on e4 with some pieces, not with the pawn. So if we manage to break through and play e4 now, and after if takes e8, f takes e8, we'll not have this much of an advantage, as if we managed to take with our rook on e4. Oh wow, white is trying some interesting ideas. So sacrifice 2 pawns for the rook ending with some initiative. Of course, it's not enough to win, but I think sorry guys, we had some technical issues. We're right back. And so we're ready to continue translating the games. Thanks for everyone who's waiting. So in the Fatality game, we have a Berserk once again. This is like a curveball structure, but white is like black and black is like white. So usual idea in this kind of positions for black now is to play b5, b4. Oh, we have all the board's translation ruined. So I feel like you don't see anything here. I hope we'll solve these issues soon. We have some like internet problems, some other technical issues. So yeah, we're back now. So yeah, the typical idea in this kind of position is to playing b5, b4, breakthrough for the black, and that's what black managed to do. And whatever pawn exchange happens after this, white will have some weaknesses. Now the weaknesses are the d4 pawn and also the a file and the a2 pawn, and the a2 pawn falls, as we can see. So you see there was no blunder. It was not the case that white just blundered the pawn. It just was the strategical idea that won black the game. And so you win a lot of these games when you are a strategically strong player, as Fatality is. So you see, without even needing to count some tactics. Knight d2, now knight xb2 can be played. Also bishop g3 was possible. g5. So you see, in bad position, every move is bad, and white just blundered everything. Decided to resign because of the total domination. So in Pinkamena game, what we have here. So white has a control of the center, and black will try to counterplay. Will counterplay like maybe c5 or d5 or e5, whatever. So it's like hypermodernism strategy. But I think that you see, black maybe has to find some counterplay in the next 2 or 3 moves, or it will be too late. c5 is played, so if black is not like losing in the next couple of moves, it's fine. And black is not losing, as we can see. So we see the hypermodernism strategy working in this game. Now, after playing c4, black will absolutely like cut white's bishops off. Oh, and now bishop takes c3 can be played. And this will be just absolutely awful for white, because now white's bishop on a2 will not have a single route to go back to the game. And for me as a strategical player, it's really sad that black missed this opportunity. Of course, I hope that Pinkamena like wins every game, but this would be beautiful. The bishop on a2 will be destroyed, as in the well-known Winter Capablanca game. If you didn't watch it, so just write it somewhere and go watch it. You'll have a lot of fun. It's like chess classics. So once again, I'll say Winter against Capablanca. So the bishop was cut off like this on the other side of the board. You can find this game with like the commentary. So yeah, h5 is played, and as you can see, white managed actually to do some very good job, because of course black's position is still better, I would say much better, but at least there is some counterplay, some chances. We couldn't say that a couple of moves ago. h4, now maybe. Yeah, but you see two bishops is just too much of an advantage, so it's really huge. Bishop c1 can be played now. No, bishop f4 is played. It's not really too dangerous. It's just the case that white don't have like some space, some moves that are not losing. b3 is losing after b4. b4 is just like it was destroying white's position, because the rook d1 was a checkmate. And after this exchange, actually, I'm not even sure that black still has like much of an advantage. Bishop takes the e5, knight g5 check, so it's blunder for black. Oh, and it's the second blunder. Black should have played king g7. And now white could have checkmated black by playing rook takes e5 instead of knight takes e5. So missed opportunity, but now white still has a victorious position. Rook can take on e6, yeah. There will never be a stalemate, because there is always a g4 move. Rook c1 is just asking white to play knight d4, but white misses this opportunity. So this was a checkmate ideas. Rook has to go back to e6. It will be the fastest victory. Instead, white gives up the a5 pawn, giving black some chances. Rook e6. It's not late to play rook e6, then knight f5 and knight g7 checkmate. Yeah, that's it. I think white saw the idea. Now there is a b4 move. It's still not enough, because, for example, white can play knight e2 and g4 check, h takes g3 and knight takes g3. But yeah, black didn't actually see this idea, played rook a4, and now after knight f5, the checkmate is on the card, so black has to play g4, f takes g4 for some reason. King g5. There were still some checkmate ideas, but white is not going for it. Rook c4, knight e3 has to be played. No, rook g7 check. King goes to f4 for some reason. But king f6 was much better, of course. Now king is still risking to be checkmated. Rook c3 is a blunder. Knight d5 was winning. No, rook f7 instead. Rook f5. So we have some complications, some intrigue in the end of this game. 11 seconds. Is this enough? Black has a time trouble as well. Rook checks on b6, b5. King goes to f4 now. No, it's not. Oh, white is risking it, not making a draw, trying to win. Rook goes to e6, to a7. White don't know what to do. King a4, please. No, king goes back. Why? King a4, king a5. No, white is risking it. Why? Oh no. What a pity. It is so sad. White had this game in his back pocket, but missed a lot of opportunities. This is very sad. And with 15 minutes left to the tournament, this was a very important game to win. Well, at least we can say that White was playing brave, like had some opportunities to draw this game, but decided to risk it. Didn't work this time around, but it's like a good fighting spirit. So well, let's watch the Fatality game. So in Fatality game, she has an extra pawn and two bishops advantage. Oh, look at Pinkamena, she's so sad. Oh no. Well, let's forget about this. Let's just try to forget about this. Watch the Fatality game. Yeah, we have an extra pawn, and the pawn on e5, it's very strong. Oh, why would we... What? Very weird decision for me. Why I decided to take on h6, and it's like a different colored bishop, so how some draw tendencies. We don't usually want this when we are winning. But maybe White is trying to convert some attacking chances. But now you see the problem is if queens exchange now, it will be very difficult to win. Oh, but black blunders. Now bishop g6 can be played and rook b7. Yeah, that's lucky, but I surely think that bishop takes h6 was unnecessary. Well, at least it's a win, so Fatality is still like fighting. Pinkamena is fighting as well. She has an extra pawn in her game. g4 is the threat. Queen g5 can be played in Pinkamena game, and I hope that she'll find this move because I know how like children never want to exchange queens, but it's really necessary this time. No, you see, she didn't want to exchange queens so much that she just decided to blunder bishop. Oh no, I think I hope she's not tilted and it's just like a coincidence. Oh guys, I'm so sorry. Let's go back to Fatality game. Oh, we have two berserks here. It will be fun. Bishops are exchanged. The material is equal. Bishop e4 is the blunder. f5 and e4. I'm not sure if it's actually losing some material. I think it was. I think e4 should have been played. Oh, now black is losing material after b4. That's so unlucky. No, rook d1 is played. So many mistakes. Everyone is tired, as you can see. Knight goes to f4, queen d2. Now we can exchange queens and maybe play e4. No, rook d8 instead. It's a blunder of the e5 pawn. Yeah, because of the pin. Maybe b5 can... No, knight f7 is threatened. Oh my god. Oh wow. This is so sad. So many chances for white. Wow. For some reason, white decides not to go for it. He had a really huge advantage, but white was scared of fatality. I think there were many ways to win. For example, simply just play rook takes d6 and just wait for some moves for black. Black had a really grim position. It's not really the day of fatality. She's just not hitting anything. Sometimes you have this kind of days when you're a chess player. It just happens. She takes berserk once again. Seems like she's tilted. She usually is not doing this against an opponent with a big rating, but this time h6, g4, f4. So yeah, white is just trying to rush it. In this exact position, it's a good strategy. I think I would take on d5 and play f5 maybe. White's position looks promising, yeah, because after f5, the bishop on h7 is just cut off from the action and it's a long term. So because black will have to make a lot of moves to restore the activity of this bishop by playing like king h8, bishop g8, then somehow move the pawn from f7 to f6. This is just a lot of moves. Yeah, of course, white takes with the pawn. That's the right decision. We never want to. We usually want to exchange knight for a bishop, but not for this bishop. Knight goes to d7. Knight h5 can be played. Knight e4 is played instead. Knight e4 is better. I didn't see this move. Yeah, knight e4. Now there is some threat of f6 that may be played at some point, but of course not now, because we don't want to give black some chances. We want the h7 bishop to be out of the action as for long as possible. h4 is played. It's a fight for an e-file. I think that every exchange that happens is quite good for white, because in the end game, this extra minor piece advantage will be felt even more. But white gave up the e-file. I think this decision is questionable, because now even after playing queen e3 check, black will have a nice position, because you see bishop h7 is cut off the action, but it's still like not absolutely like doing nothing, because it's attacking the f5 pawn. So we have to defend on f5, and that's why now we have to play like f6, and now the bishop is playing. And you see, that's the point. When you have some sort of like strategical domination, you have to feel this moment when you have to go for some tactics, go for like some complications. You have to not miss the opportunity to use this advantage. You have it now, but this advantage may go away in like 2 or 3 moves. And that's what's happened to black. This is like I'm not blaming white, because this is actually very difficult, and I have this weakness myself. Oh, and wow, white had a golden opportunity, I think, to play d6, and still has it. White can play d6, but d6 will be met by bishop c7 actually. Bishop c8 actually. We'll have the bishop b7 move, but black has an opportunity to play bishop e6 check, so it wasn't working. Now it's a draw, but white has 15 seconds. Is white fast enough? King f5, bishop e8. Oh, bishop e8 is a very strong move. Bishop d1 now. No, white should have played bishop d1 maybe. It's still a draw though. Still a draw, but 9 seconds. Bishop d3, bishop b5. Bishop has to go to b1, yeah. Not to count everything. 6 seconds. Of course this is a draw. It's an easy one, no doubt this is draw. Oh, now it isn't actually. Bishop goes to c2. Now bishop could have gone to h7, then king b4, king a3. Well, at least it's not this sad, because actually black is winning in this position. White lost some time to just come closer with the king. Yeah, this is sad. Sorry, I'm just I'm just too sad. So I'm like commentating a little bit slower than I have to. No, I'm sorry, guys, having some issues. So in the next fatality game, we have the position where white gave up the control of the center, but has counterplay. So this is quite a usual thing. Oh, what is this? I don't like this at all. I thought that the idea is to play something like knight c2, knight e3, but now the dark squares are so weak, and this is really dangerous. I don't see the ways to have something in counter to the possible attacks that will happen now after king g7, rook h8, h takes g4, queen h4, bishop takes g4. For some reason, black is not doing it. I think this was a strong idea. Queen has to rotate somewhere to like g3, and this will be really dangerous. Black is not rushing it. I think this is actually a very strong idea. So, and it's not easy to defend against this. So I'll definitely go for this. Knight c2, knight e5, f4. Oh, after f4, white even has some counterplay. G takes h5. This is so ambitious. Queen b2. White is not taking any prisoners, so just this is a very aggressive play style, and it's working in this scenario because now the d4 pawn can be defended. Black gave up the exchange, decided that d4 pawn is so important that we can give up an exchange, but then blunders a minor piece. And so white is winning here. And 30 seconds has to be enough. Yeah. Rook a7, one maybe. No, e6 is played. d6 is better. Rook takes e6, and yeah, that's easy. I think that this will be an easy victory for white. So yeah, oh, bishop takes e6, and now black resigns. Yeah. So it's a 2-0 against this exact opponent for fatality. Nice catch. So let's go back to Pinkamena game, playing against a very strong opponent due to rating, at least. 4-3, rook endgame. I'm not completely sure about if this position is victorious. I can only say that it's good for white to play h4, g3. This move has to be made, and black has to play g5. This is like the theory that you can read in the Dvoretsky's book about endgame. I saw that some of you guys, someone of asked this question about this book in some earlier streams. I just at that stream I didn't have an opportunity to read the comments, and this is actually a very good book. And while I was talking with all this, Pinkamena already lost this game. Yeah. So let's go back to fatality game, because now Pinkamena's game just doesn't matter anymore because she'll not have time. We have only 1 minute and 10 seconds left. So fatality may have time to convert this game and to gain some points. And in this position, we're minor piece up. So the only question, I think that the result is not in question anymore. Knight takes d5 is a missed opportunity. But now the time is the only question. 45 seconds. Is this enough to convert these points? b6, a4, knight e5. It's not looking likely, to be honest. You see, if white wants, he can just like stop playing, and these points will not count. There's just no reason to do so. e3 is a good idea. to play rook f2 check and knight f3. Oh, and white resigns. That's a good sportsmanship. So could have waited some seconds, but decided to give these points to black, to fatality. 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Of course, there will be no games, and that's it. So let's just wait a couple of minutes and see the rankings. Oh, the tournament is over, I'm sorry. So fatality is 10th place. Well, not the best result, but you see, it's just not working for fatality today. So just not having a good day. Hopefully, the next tournament would be better. What about the Pinkamena? She's 17th place. Had a really good run in the first half of the tournament, but as you can see, 5 losses in a row. See, she's a kid and she's just tired, so I think you can understand that it's just very difficult to play like this. The player in the first place actually had 100% of the Berserk games. This is really brave, but the rating of this guy is huge, and you see he lost like maybe 2 or 3 games, and it costed him so much because he lost like 80 points of rating. That's why you don't usually want to play tournaments like this if you want to keep your rating. Well, guys, you can read your comments. I can see Lada Elina in the stream. Hello, Lada. As we can see in the chat, Lada is like a lot of fans of Chess Fight Night just really like this player. And I'm glad that you also like our players that we're watching today, Fatality and Pinkamena. Very good players. Once again, we'll just hope that their next results will be better. I'm sure that they will work on chess for the next stream. So thanks for everyone who's watching. We'll meet next week or maybe earlier. So bye bye.